Welcome to episode 62 of Everything Sports with Aman and Evan. I'm your host, Aman Adkarni,
And I'm your co-host, Evan Garber.
and we talk about the hottest topics in sports that occur over the past week. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about struggling Western Conference teams in the NBA, and then we're going to talk about our NFL favorites in each conference, and then respond to your hot takes that you guys submitted in the podcast Discord. And if you guys would like to take part in our episodes, be featured in them, you can either vote on Instagram, or if you want your specific hot take to be featured, definitely join the Discord so you don't miss any of the discussion. So without further ado, follow us on the social media platforms you see on the screen because we are literally everywhere so you don't miss any content from our podcast. But without further ado, let's get it started with the NBA Western Conference teams. We'll start off with the Warriors. They did just get a win from the Kings, but it took 47 points from Stephen Curry. And I mean, if you look at the statistics, he's averaging better stats than his unanimous MVP season. I'm not saying he should be MVP. He certainly is a candidate. But if you just look at his stats, it's like the 2020-2021 season where he's carrying the team, where it's if Curry does well, the Warriors win. If he doesn't do well, the Warriors lose. It's pretty much turning into that because the starting lineup statistically is the best in the NBA, and the Warriors' bench is statistically the worst in the NBA. So with those statistics, Evan, what do you make of the Warriors' struggles to start off the season?
Like you said, I do agree that it is partially the bench, but I also think it's the defense. Right now, teams are averaging 120.6 points per game against them, where last year they only held them to 105.5 points per game. And also, the Warriors are fouling a lot too. The opponents are averaging a league high 29.5 free throws a game, which is definitely an issue. And I think that it's pretty clear that they don't seem to have the same, mindset on defense at least. They don't seem to have the same intensity that they had before. Draymond doesn't seem like the same leader as usual on defensive end at least. Offense is doing a great job, but on defense, they're not rallying around him, and I think that's what needs to happen. They need to have a spark. And like you said, the bench too. There's been rumors about them trading away some of the young pieces to get some quality bench pieces, but I don't think that it's time to panic yet. I think that the young guys can develop pretty well, and I think that they will develop well. Just take some time, and I think that they can survive for now with the bench pieces that they have right now.
Yeah, I mean, I somewhat agree with that. I think they should keep their young guys, but Kuminga did decent. He got 9 minutes of playing time in the first half against the Kings because I believe Looney was in foul trouble, but Kuminga didn't play any of the second half, and it's Kerr figuring out the rotations because JaMychal Green didn't play, James Wiseman didn't play, and yes, Wiseman is that second overall pick right after Anthony Edwards and right before LaMelo Ball. And I mean, with the bench, Jordan Poole is struggling badly too. He's got that contract and he hasn't really proven much yet. He's supposed to take that huge jump. He already took a massive jump last year. He was a most improved player candidate. But now this year, he needs to be leading the bench in that sixth-man role, and we haven't seen that yet. I do believe that Dante DiVincenzo is coming back against the Cavaliers. That could be a help to the bench, but to your point about the defense, it's Draymond Green's the heartbeat of the Warriors. Everyone knows that. His impact goes beyond the stat sheet. Let's just say that. Because if you see him get 10, 7, and 8, it's all right, those are just average stats. But if you actually watch the games, look at him contesting shots, not allowing people to post him up, he's not a vocal leader anymore so far on the defensive end. And I just think that with the fight with Jordan Poole in practice, I think he's trying to gain players' trust back, and then he'll start constructing everyone he's like you said, he's amazing on offense. I just think on the defensive end, the amount of times he tells everyone to like help on this guy, or just communicates on defense, I think we just need to wait because like chemistry is honestly there. It's just defensive problems, and I think everything starts on the defensive end in basketball. And I think when Draymond hopefully gains trust back with his teammates, I think the defense will be better. And these are early season struggles. It is an 82 game season, luckily. But I mean, what do you think about Draymond on the defensive end? Because Curry is, I'm not sure if he still is, but for a long time this season, he was still leading the team in rebounding. So what do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a pretty big issue. Like I said earlier, Draymond just doesn't seem to have that same heart on defense, and he really is that part of the key part of the defense for the Warriors. If he's doing well, then the team will rally around him and they'll start doing well. And he's the guy who always pushing guys to do well. Like he pushed Wiggins to do well. That's how he became an All-Star last season. He pushed him to play well on both ends, and it's got to be the same for everybody. Like Curry set that up last year. Um, Looney was a great rebounder last year. Like, everyone is stepping it up last year, but that was because of Draymond. And Draymond has not been the same player that he was last year on defensively, and that needs to change for the Warriors to start becoming title contenders again.
Yeah, and I mean, people forget last year Draymond Green was an all-star too. So they just need to get back to that level on the defensive end. Gary Payton the second and Otto Porter have been huge losses. GP2 is going to be back with the Blazers soon. He's dealing with some injuries. Not sure how Otto Porter is doing, but these players stepped it up big time, and they were key parts of our rotation. We lost them, so we need to figure out a way to replace them. But another team is the Timberwolves. Adding Rudy Gobert, you sacrificed your future. As of now, it's looking like an absolutely terrible trade because the Utah Jazz, I mean, they are 10-3. They are one of the best teams in the NBA somehow, some way. I know it's shocking because they're supposed to be tanking for Wembanyama. There are memes on Danny Ainge's facial reactions reacting to all these Jazz wins. I do think, and obviously you think so as well, they will trade Jordan Clarkson or Mike Conley to tank because I don't know if they're going to tolerate missing out on Wembanyama, especially with all these picks that they have. But going forward to the Timberwolves, their offense and somehow their defense has gotten worse with Gobert on the team. The Timberwolves were never known as a defensive team. They signed Kyle Anderson. I thought Kyle Anderson was a great signing, and a lot of people thought they were going to do well. And again, it's early in the season, but when's the last time you've seen an athlete forget to check into a game? You can't because it never happened, and it just did. The Timberwolves need to get back on pace. Anthony Edwards, he was on the verge of becoming a superstar in the playoffs last year. So this was supposed to be his big year. It's not looking like that so far. But what do you think of the Timberwolves' struggles?
I think it's honestly just one of those cases where you have too much on that team. There's just too much, I guess, stars power. I guess I don't want to say star power, but it's just too much on the court. There's too many good players on the court, and I think that's what people don't realize. Like you can't just throw out the top guys in the NBA. You can't just throw out five of the top guys in the NBA out there on the court and expect to win a championship every single time. It's up to chemistry, and you have to have those role players. And those role players play a huge part of their team. Like I said with the Warriors, Gary Payton, Otto Porter. Missing those guys has become huge so far this season. And I think that's the case for the Timberwolves as well. You need to add some role players. You need to downgrade one of your starters like D'Lo or something, or maybe even Gobert to some more role players. And I think that will help the team a lot better. You have more depth, and then you also have clear offensive guys that you have on your team. You clearly have Anthony Edwards as the guy. You clearly have Cat as the guy. You clearly have Gobert as the guy on defense. I think that's what really needs to change.
Yeah, it's really chemistry, and there's no chemistry there. I do think that like Anthony Edwards is for some reason mentioned in trade rumors at one point. They're not going to trade Anthony Edwards. This is his third year. Like you got to get serious at some point with these rumors. But trade D'Angelo Russell. I don't like it when players bounce around the league, but D'Angelo Russell went from the Lakers to the Nets to the Warriors to the now Timberwolves. I say you trade D'Angelo Russell for maybe a couple of decent to good role players, and then you'll have like a well constructed team with chemistry, with Edwards, Carl Anthony Towns, and then you won't be short of defense with Gobert. So I think you trade D'Lo for more role players, more value, and I mean I don't know if it's going to be an every episode thing, but the Lakers continue to struggle. People try to blame Westbrook for it. He has now accepted his role as a sixth man, and if you were to vote right now, Westbrook would be the sixth man of the year. So he's accepted his role, but LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they can't shoot well. The Lakers as a team can't shoot well. Patrick Beverly is not even worth starting on a team, it seems like, but the Lakers just can't shoot. What do you think they should do to salvage their season? Because again, it is earlier in the season.
Honestly, this might seem crazy to a lot of people, but I think you have to trade Anthony Davis. Um, Obviously, it's not looking like you can get much from Russell Westbrook and your two first-round picks. So I think you got to trade Anthony Davis. You got to get shooters around LeBron and let LeBron do his thing. I think that's honestly the key to success. Even though LeBron's been slowing down a little bit, he's getting up there in age. I just think that if you put shooters around him and let him do his thing, that is honestly a key to success. It's been a key to success his whole career, and I think that it hasn't changed. Um, and honestly, the way to do that is to trade Anthony Davis because nothing on your team is really valuable at this point other than Anthony Davis. So you're gonna have to ship him off. It may not seem like the best move in the may not seem to make the best move in the first place, but it'll definitely help the team out a lot.
I definitely agree because like you said, Westbrook and two picks. I don't even think the Pacers are going to give them Hield and Turner anymore. But even with Hield and Turner, that makes them a play-in team, and we'll get into a hot take later about the Lakers. But if you genuinely want to add impactful players like shooters and then role players, you trade Anthony Davis, and Anthony Davis is still a good player. He can't shoot, but you see him putting in effort to not get injured. And I mean, LeBron James is now injured. You can see like he's old, he's slowing down. He's still an elite player, don't get me wrong. He's probably going to be an all-star starter, but he is now injured and he'll get more injuries because he's naturally getting older. So you need to surround him with as many shooters as you can because it's not going to work out. And Hield and Turner might actually be a good move, but I don't know if the Pacers are willing to accept that. Just Hield and Turner for Westbrook and two picks. It might have to be Westbrook, another player, and two picks for Hield and Turner because both of them are doing well. And I mean, Westbrook accepting his role as a six-man, credit to him, but the Lakers are in a mess right now. Timberwolves and Warriors, I think they will probably salvage their season. They're not going to be, I don't think the Warriors will be a play-in team. I think they do figure it out and become a top six seed. The Timberwolves, they might be a play-in team, but I'm still going to say they will figure it out and be a top six team. But the Lakers are different because so many people tell me when I criticize the Lakers that it's still early in the season. The Timberwolves and Warriors can at least shoot. Those are minor problems for the Warriors and Timberwolves to fix. The Lakers have major issues, and that's the difference here. We will go to NFL now. So, Evan, we'll start in the AFC. Who are/is your AFC favorite to make it to the Super Bowl?
I think it's pretty obvious. My AFC favorite is the Buffalo Bills. They clearly are the best team on paper, and they clearly have shown that they are the best team, even despite the loss on Sunday to the Jets, and now you have Josh Allen possibly being out on Sunday night on Sunday. But there are some teams that I think that can upset them, like the Chiefs and Dolphins. They're both very, very good teams. People still, I think, are underrating the Dolphins and Tua especially. But Tua has shown time and time again now this season that he is that guy. He is a very good quarterback, and people aren't respecting that at all.
Yeah, I agree. I will say that after the loss to the Jets, that division is really close. Like the Bills 6-2, and then the Jets, shockingly, they're 6-3. The Dolphins 6-3, and the Patriots are 5-4. It seems like the Patriots have lost so many games, but they are 5-4. And I mean, the Jets, I don't know if they're for real. I know people, including me, are hesitant to actually call them serious because they are the Jets after all. But Sauce Gardner, he's a rookie. He's going to get Defensive Rookie of the Year. He might actually be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Next to Micah Parsons, next to Matthew Judon, people are still underrating him, and he has the most sacks in the league. So, I mean, I agree with your Bills pick. I will have to say the Chiefs might be slightly better. I wouldn't be surprised if the seedings allow it. Another Bills Chiefs rematch. It would be funny if that goes into overtime and then the Bills end up winning. That would be perfect. That would be revenge. The Bills did beat them in the regular season, but that's regular season. Playoffs is a whole different story. But in the NFC, I'll start by saying the Eagles, they are undefeated, but they have played slightly weaker teams. They are still the best team in the NFC, but I'm not going to say they're clear favorites because I think Minnesota can make a lot of noise. Their one loss was against the Eagles because they did have primetime Kirk Cousins, who doesn't do well in prime time. But one loss in the entire season, I believe they're like 7-1 or something. The Niners, they might be 4-4, but everyone, they might just win out the rest of the season or lose 1 to 2 games and be 11-6, 12-5. They're going to make a lot of noise in the playoffs because this team made it to the Super Bowl in Garoppolo's first year and then lost in the NFC Championship game to the Rams. And that's why regular season and playoff is different because the Niners always beat the Rams, but when it mattered the most, the Rams beat them. But I think the Niners, Vikings, and Eagles, they are a toss-up for the NFC. What do you think?
No, I think I agree with you, but I mean, you can call me biased all you want, but my clear favorite is the 49ers. They clearly have the best team. I mean, the offense is insane. They destroyed the Rams on Sunday. And that was without Deebo Samuel. So when you add Deebo Samuel into that mix, there's honestly no beating that team. And then obviously we had the sad news about Jason Verrett tearing his Achilles yesterday, but still that defense is still very, very good. Talanoa Hufanga, he's been a beast this season, and Fred Warner, although he hasn't been as good as you'd think, you don't hear about him a whole lot, but he's still a beast on defensive end.
Yeah.
And same with Bosa too. Bosa's still a beast. So I just think that team is just way, way too good to be beaten.
I agree with you because you can't guard their offense. Their defense is amazing. They're actually playing without Eric Armstead, which is another huge player. And like you said, Fred Warner, you may not hear him a lot, but he is very impactful on that Niners defense. But I agree with you. If I had to pick a favorite, it would be the Niners, Eagles, and then the Vikings. But I would understand if anyone else picked the Eagles or Vikings as favorites. But without further ado, let's get into the hot takes. You guys submitted them on Discord, so we'll start with the first one. Instagram, I believe like 78% of you actually agreed with this take, which is I don't think the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl. I mean, like I said, they've played weaker teams, so that would be a believable take for me. What do you think?
it's the same thing for me. Like you said, they haven't played any great teams, and although I'm a huge fan of Jalen Hurts, I just want to see him step it up in the big games. We got the Cowboys coming up soon, so I think that'll be the first really, really big test to see if they are true contenders.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. And then 80% of you say there's no chance this take happens. And again, if you want to respond to these takes before the actual episode, then follow us on Instagram. But the take is if the Vikings continue on this hot streak, they can go to the Super Bowl. You guys said there's no chance, but I feel like the Vikings are the least talked about contender. And they're obviously going to run away with their division, but like if the Eagles pick up a loss or two, the Vikings are the first seed in the NFC. And Jefferson is clearly a wide receiver one. Thielen's not a wide receiver three because if they kept Diggs, then Diggs, Jefferson, Thielen, that wouldn't work because one is clearly the receiver one, and then you got Kirk Cousins, T.J. Hawkins, and then obviously Dalvin Cook. So I think this is a believable take. I'm not picking the Vikings to go to the Super Bowl by any means, but it is a believable take for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think it's definitely believable, but I just know that Kirk Cousins will screw up. He always screws up, especially on prime time, and I don't think things will change this season.
Huh. Yep. I mean that's pretty acceptable. And then Lakers will rebound and be a top six seed and avoid the play-in. A lot of you guys said that there's no chance that happens, and I agree with that because if they make a move to get shooters, I do think they will be a play-in team. But if they trade Anthony Davis, they'll be like a seven seed, and they may be actually fighting for that six seed. But if they trade Westbrook and two picks, I don't think like I said, I don't think the Pacers are just gonna do Hield and Turner for Westbrook and two picks. It'll be Westbrook and a role player like Westbrook and none who has been awful to start the year. But the Lakers, I still do think they will be in the play-in, and I will agree with Instagram on this one that there's no chance they're a top six seed. So what do you think about that take?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. But the roster that they have right now, I think it's pretty obvious they are not going to be a top six seed. But if they do decide to make a big move, trade Anthony Davis, I think there is a chance. But I agree with you. I think they're going to be a play-in team more than likely.
Yeah, I agree. The next hot take is the USA will make it to the quarterfinals in the FIFA World Cup. You guys have no faith in your own country, so I'm disappointed. But I mean, the predictions video will be released a few days after this episode comes out, but I mean, I said the USA goes to the quarterfinals because they will beat Netherlands, assuming the United States is second in their group. I said they will beat, and I don't know if it's an upset to be honest. I think USA and Netherlands are equal teams, but I have them eventually losing to Argentina in the quarterfinals. But I have to say this is a believable take that USA will make it to the quarterfinals. What do you think?
Honestly, I don't know a whole lot about soccer, but I do know that the U.S. team isn't super strong. They're a young team. So from what I've seen, I don't think they'll make the quarterfinals. I think they definitely could, but I don't see it happening. They're just too young of a team. There's too many good teams out there that I think will beat them up.
I mean, that's agreeable. And then this was 50-50 on Instagram. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is a better player than Booker right now. It's tough because both players are doing absolutely amazing, but I will have to go with Shea here. He's been tearing up fantasy teams in a good way, obviously, but like he's been exploding. He's getting 30-point games one after the other, similar to Booker. And when we evaluate players, I never like putting in team success because if it's individual skill, like leadership isn't part of like just skill. We're talking about basketball skill here. I'm gonna say Shea Gilgeous-Alexander here. So I say this is a believable take because some people may not remember Shea because he plays for the Thunder, who don't get as many primetime games and don't get the spotlight as much. So I'd say this is a believable take here. What do you think?
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, I actually have my fantasy team, and he's been absolutely balling for my team. Uh, I, I mean, it's just pretty impressive how well he's doing, especially considering the roster that he has around him. I think once he gets Chet back with him, and once he maybe gets Victor Wembanyama on his team, and then once they start developing, I think that he will finally get his recognition. But as of right now, he does not get his recognition that he deserves. He clearly is better than Devin Booker. Not saying Devin Booker is a bad player, but I think it's pretty obvious that Shea is the better player.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I agree with that, and I hope Shea does well because he's in OKC. People say that he may be disgruntled and whatnot, but I mean, Victor Wembanyama, Chet Holmgren, that would be an amazing tandem there. But Chet Holmgren again needs to gain muscle. He has the basketball skills, just gain muscle so you're durable enough. But with that, that ends episode 62 of Everything Sports with Aman and Evan. Make sure to listen to all of our other episodes. Follow us on social media because we upload almost every day. But thanks for watching. See you next episode.